When you learn things from red days and implement them and it results in green days, it's a great feeling. Hey, fellow traders, it's Black Coffee Trader. It is Wednesday, March the 26th, and today was a very, very big winning day for me. Not because we had a big green day. We did not. We made about $770 across the funded accounts and did lose one account. It was more a mental win. The last couple of days were red days for me, pretty bad red days, and I was really on the fence if I was even going to trade today. And I saw some setups today, and I basically told myself, if I take a trade today, or if I take trades today, one is I will be extremely patient and look for, basically verify that I've got a really, really solid setup. Rather than just jumping in because I think something's going to happen. And two, I decided to size down. No matter what happens today, I was going to trade with a max of 2 micros. And I did that today, and I had a very, very, very good day. It honestly, it feels like just a fabulous, fabulous green day, even though it was a very small green day, but we were green across all the accounts with the exception of this one where we only had like $35 in drawdown left. And so we did lose that one this morning. It was actually the only losing trade I had was on this specific account. I just decided I'm going to take a shot at something and see if it works, and it didn't. And that's okay, because $30 we got a long ways to go to payout. So I'm okay with losing that. For the rest of the accounts, let me just walk you through what I did. I had a couple really, really, really good trades, and had I taken them with some size, it could have been a fantastic day. We'll start with the pre-market. If you look at the pre-market this morning, in the overnight session, we really could not break yesterday's high of day. And this morning in the pre-market, when I saw this push back up and we see this rejection, I took this as a short. Now, I didn't capitalize quite as much on this as I could have, but let me just get the right accounts. I think this was on 71. Nope. There we go. It was on these top accounts right here. What I really want to point out here is I exercised an extreme amount of patience. The typical me, when we started to see these wicks forming right here, even this red candle, I was really compelled to take this short, because I was looking at this thinking, we're going to reject off this level. We're going to reject off this level. And we did. The difference for me, and call it coincidence, I don't believe so. I think I really should be a lot more patient like this. I just waited. I waited. I decided I'm just not going to run the risk of this popping through. And when we finally saw this 5 EMA that I run on my charts, when we saw this thing turn, we saw this red candle form and this next one forming after the wick. So we get the wicks that signify the rejection, and then we see the rollover. That's when I took the short. And I knew that I was shorting into VWAP, but I was okay with that because the level was so clear, and just in the pre-market, we just simply couldn't break above that. So that was the reason for taking this trade. Took my first target off, and then we had news this morning, and I was kind of slowly trailing my stop, and I wish I wouldn't have put it down quite this far, because I could have got a little bit more out of this trade, but that's okay. The lesson there was I was patient, I took the proper setup, and we had a winning trade because of it. So that was a big, big win for me. The next trade I took on NQ, I think this was with 84. This was a bit of a questionable trade. I was really, really hesitant here to jump in. And this is one where normal me would have really, I would have possibly shorted this move, and I would possibly have jumped into some of this figuring that this was going to continue into the downside. I almost shorted here as we kind of tested this 285 level, but we just didn't get a clear rejection, and for that reason I didn't take it. And the other thing too was during that time frame, we were right in the 5800s on ES. And the 5800s on ES, in my opinion, was a pretty big area with these holds coming in here, here, and here from back in early March. And then we obviously had been holding that for this week. And so I felt like we really needed to break through the 5800s for me to look for shorts below that. So that was my hesitancy for not taking this NQ trade right here. And when we pushed back out of here, that was what gave me the confidence to take this long. And this was not a great setup, but it was, you know, above the key level, pushing out, and it did take some profits there. So that was an okay trade. The good part was trailing my stop up a little bit and just not allowing this to completely fall apart. I think that was pretty much it on NQ. That was on the 84 account, this bottom account. And then the other trade, the one I'm most happy about, was this one here on the ES. So again, just a very much an exercise of being extremely patient. I waited through all this noise. This was this push up on NQ that caused me to take that long. When we didn't break yesterday's lows on ES, that was what gave me caution and pause on this setup to keep my stop up here and not allow this thing to go and revert into a drawdown, so to speak. But when we fell below the 5800s here, again, my typical impatient self is jumping in. When we break through a level, I am very much inclined to jump in to catch the move down. And that, I think, really comes from FOMO, fear of missing out on the move. I was patient here and waited for this to pull back, and these wicks didn't fully test this 5802, I think is where I have this level marked, but we did test and kind of test right here, and we retested this previous high. Once I saw that, I elected to take this short, and I took this on the 71 accounts, the accounts that are about 200 in profit. And the good part is I needed a good win day because I had very little drawdown left on those accounts, so it was good to push those back out. But here's the thing, the patience of waiting until I got some confirmation candles rejecting off this level that I thought was pretty big, which I think really was, and then entering the short. And I kind of drew this box in here because I was able to take my stop and leave it right here at only like 6 points-ish, something like that, about 6 points. And then I had all this upside. And once I hit my first profit target, I couldn't lose on the trade. My first profit target, I think, was like at 7 or 8 points, and I think my stop was at 6. Let's look at this. The entry looks like it's at 57.9650. My stop was somewhere around, about 6 points, and then, you know, I was looking for about an 7.5, 8 point win. Once I hit this, the risk was off. The risk was off on the trade. I wasn't going to lose. If anything, I was going to stop out, break even if this failed. And I literally, I mean, I didn't necessarily walk away, but I was focused on other things. I was doing some other work, and I just simply let this trade run, and all at once I hear order filled, which meant that we got the fill down here at the bottom. And 2 minis or 2 micros resulted in a 100 and about $40-50 trade there. So again, this is low risk, high reward, and we capitalized on that move. And we did because I was patient, right? I say we, I mean I. But anyway, just very much a mental win for me today, a huge mental win of not getting caught up in this nasty mess. I stayed out of this completely and waited until a very good setup developed, and we capitalized on that. It seems so easy when you do it that way, and for some reason I kind of seem to miss that from time to time. I was busy after lunch. I only had time to trade until the morning, or until about noontime anyway, but I did miss a beautiful short. This was a great break and retest short off this this level on the ES, and I think the same thing occurred on NQ. Yes, we had a beautiful break and retest short of this 220 area on NQ. So I believe if I would have been here, I probably would have taken that trade on one of my accounts or one of my groups of accounts, and I would have done it with just 2 micros because that was my plan for today. So the lesson really for me, big lesson, is I think over the last couple of days, the red was a result of me being way too over aggressive, being way too over anxious and getting into a move, and it resulted in me making some really bad trades and taking far too many trades. I think today I only took a total of like 4 or 4 or 5 trades, I think. What does this say? TradeZilla, 86% win rate, which is awesome. Look at the average win to loss, just very, very, very good. This says 15, so yeah, I took about 5 trades probably in total. So while it was not a big green day, that is completely okay. We're still red on the month, only by $500. Hopefully we can make that back in the next couple of trading days. We are still red for the week, and that's okay. We'll probably have a red week. But for the month, I want to at least get to break even and then move on into April. So very much a learning lesson for me the last couple of days, and I'm very, very happy with my patience and just my mental game today and just the patience. I can't speak enough to myself about how patient I was today and how that worked out. So anyway, just wanted to do a short little recap of today, and yeah, I want to build upon this and take this into the rest of the month and moving on. So again, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate the new subs, by the way. Thank you. And hope you guys had a good trading day today in this downtrend. Let's take a quick look, though, at one thing that really has stood out to me. Even in this push down, we're looking at the NASDAQ here. The NASDAQ on the hourly chart, on the actually 30-minute chart here. This yellow line is the FOMC highs from last week. And we have this gap fill, and we got down to about the gap today, but we pushed back out of it, which I thought was very, very interesting. I was looking at the market here late day, right about 3:30, did not trade it, but I was looking at it. Very interesting how we did not complete that gap fill. So I'm very curious if we're just going to consolidate here, and if we do that in the overnight session, or if it happens tomorrow, or if this thing continues to push out of this. I mean, we tried to break down below that here at the end of day, but we just simply couldn't do it. And what looks like we're going to be closing somewhere in this FOMC high area here at the end of day. So very interesting to see how this develops tomorrow. I think ES is a very similar picture. Yes, almost identical actually. We came right down to the top of that gap fill, but we did not fill that gap. So the jury is still out on what happens there and how things go over the next couple of days. So very interesting. With this big flush to the downside, I really felt like, gosh, this is probably going to close this and then we bounce off of that, but we didn't. So that goes to show you that we really just don't know what this market's going to do on a day-by-day basis. So anyway, I'll leave you with that, but appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for supporting the channel using code BCT on Apex and Take Profit Trader. Also on TradeZilla, which is a journaling software that I love. But anyway, appreciate you guys using my code. Those of you that do, and those of you that don't, you are still welcome to. We appreciate you as well. So, all right, I'll leave you with that. Until next time, take care and so long.